Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Friday, August 16th, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Friday in Major League Baseball. First up, we get an afternoon game from Wrigley Field. The Blue Jays and the Cubs is going to be on Apple TV at 2:20 Eastern. Yariel Rodriguez and Kyle Hendricks are the projected starters. Yeah, I mentioned I don't really love Kyle Hendricks as a starting pitcher this year. He just hasn't really been a profitable option. Obviously, he's 3-10 in the win-loss column himself, but just beyond that, the Cubs have lost a majority of his starts. And he's also not fared too well at Wrigley Field this year, which he's been considered throughout his career a Wrigley Field starter, but 1-5 record, 5.75 ERA, and 40 2/3 at Wrigley. The Blue Jays had a pretty strong series this week. I know it was against the Angels, but still, their offense looked pretty solid. I like the way that Yariel Rodriguez has looked recently. I think he's a better option in this game. So I'm going to go with the Toronto Blue Jays on the money line on the road. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Cincinnati Reds. We're going to see Michael Lorenzen and Nick Martinez as your starters. Of course, Lorenzen facing his former team. He was a Red from 2015 to 2021. So a lot of Great American Ballpark experience. A lot of people consider it the second most hitter-friendly park in baseball next to, of course, Coors Field. So it's good to have experience there, especially when that experience was pretty good pitching. And that was a sub-4 ERA for Lorenzen in over 200 innings at Great American. So I'm not too worried about him in this game. And, Nick Martinez, I mentioned, don't think he's a viable starting pitching option. He pitched really well in that last game. One of his best outings, as a starter or reliever in the majors. 7 innings of 7 strikeout, shutout baseball, no walks, only 1 base hit. Now, the Reds still lost that game 1-0, but Martinez was excellent. The problem is he's pitching at home here where, he's been really solid on the road with a sub-2 ERA, but at Great American, 49 innings of 4.41 ERA and a 3.01 opponent's batting average. I think Kansas City gets to him for a few runs, and I think the Royals to win this game on the money line. Next up, we see a great pitching matchup between Logan Gilbert and Paul Skeens in this Mariners-Pirates game. It's going to be 6:40 Eastern, also on Apple TV. Now, you could argue Paul Skeens is the better starting pitcher in this one, but while the Mariners' offense has been known to struggle this year, the Pirates are also really struggling right now. They've lost 10 straight games. Now, they played some tough teams along the way, but nonetheless, 10 losses against any team. And, the Pirates are slumping in a big way, and Gilbert's pitching well. Skeens not coming off his best outing in that last game, giving up 4 earned runs against the Dodgers. I know the Mariners are not the Dodgers, but they still have some power in that lineup. So while I think Skeens has plenty of strikeouts in this game against a Seattle team that's been leading the league in strikeout rate from the beginning of the year, I could see the Mariners finding a home run or two, and that could be enough for a win in the end. I mean, the Pirates just not sharp offensively. They have worse numbers than the Mariners do by far in the last 30 days against right-handed pitching. Like I said, Gilbert's in great form. His last 5 starts, only one of those games was a bad outing. It was against the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park. But other than that, 1 earned run or fewer in the rest of those games. Good strikeout numbers. Give me the Mariners in this game, and of course the under in Mariners-Pirates. Next up, the New York Yankees taking on the Detroit Tigers. No official starter for Detroit, but we should see Garrett Cole going for the Yankees. This has been a fun series to watch the last decade or so. It's kind of a rivalry. I mean, there's been some close games and some walk-off wins for the Tigers in those Comerica games. We also saw a benches clearing brawl not too long ago between these teams at Comerica. So this should be a good one. But Garrett Cole's pitched really well against Detroit in his career, and I know the teams definitely change a lot from year to year. But 9-1 record, sub-2 ERA in 77 innings with 98 strikeouts against the Tigers. Then you look at his numbers at Comerica Park. 33 1/3 innings, 37 strikeouts, 3.24 ERA, but a 3-0 record. So he's had success against Detroit in his career. He's pitching, he's in good form right now. We know he struggled at the beginning of his season, but now his last 2 starts, a combined 11 innings, a 3-run ball with 14 strikeouts. That last game against the Rangers was really strong. So I think Cole pitches well. I think the Yankees, we'll have to see who the Tigers start, but that bullpen's not been great for Detroit. So I think the Yankees offense has a big day. Give me the Yankees on the run line. Next up, the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Washington Nationals. Patrick Corbin and Aaron Nola are your starters. This is a spot where the Phillies are a huge favorite. For me, I'd take the Phillies lay 1.5, maybe 2.5 runs to try to get a better price. But the Phillies have crushed lefties in the last month. Corbin, obviously not a great option for Washington, even though I'd say he's been a little bit more competitive recently. I mean, he's still giving up 4 earned runs or more in his last 3 starts. Home runs in his last 3 games as well. The strikeout numbers have been very inconsistent for him. So I think that if the Phillies get to him, Nolan's got pretty good career numbers against the current Nationals hitters, so give me the Phillies laying 2.5. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Tampa Bay Rays. Another great pitching matchup for this one. Ryan Pepiot and Ryan Nelson. Some great pitching matchups for the Friday card in Major League Baseball. And I think we see a low-scoring game here. But the thing for me is I trust the Diamondbacks lineup a lot more. While I do think the Rays have the better bullpen, the Rays, and you look at their last 13 games, they scored 2 runs or fewer in 9 of those 13. It's really tough to win ball games when you're scoring less than 2 runs a game. And I think Nelson, who's locked in right now, we mentioned he looks like a completely different pitcher. He pitched really well in that last game against the Phillies. Tough lineup, 7 1/3, 2 runs, and 9 strikeouts. That was a Chase Field, which is pretty hitter-friendly. So impressive stuff there from Nelson. I think he puts together a strong outing. Pepiot's not been as good at Tropicana as he's been on the road. He's got an ERA above 4 at home. So I think the Diamondbacks get to him for a few runs and win this game in a low-scoring affair. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the Baltimore Orioles. No official starter for Boston, but we should see Corbin Burnes going for the O's. I like Baltimore in this game. Burnes is pitching really well at Camden Yards. The Red Sox bullpen continues to struggle with an ERA above 6 in the last month and a super steep xFIP. I got to go with Baltimore lay the 1.5 runs and potentially 2.5 runs. I don't think, while the Red Sox have done pretty well against right-handed pitching this year, and recently, I haven't loved their at-bats. I didn't like their at-bats in that Rangers series or the Astros series, and those were at Fenway Park. Now you're up against Burnes, one of the best pitchers in baseball. I think they struggle here. Give me the Baltimore Orioles laying the 1.5. Next up, we see the Mets and the Marlins from Citi Field. We're going to see Roddery Munoz and Sean Manaea as your starters. Both these starting pitchers faced the opposition not too long ago. Munoz pitched really well against the Mets. He went 5 innings, 1 run, no home runs given up with 5 strikeouts. That's a key for Munoz. He gives up a lot of home runs, but didn't give up any in that game against New York. Now, Sean Manaea, on the flip side, he struggled against the Marlins. He went 5 earned runs, a home run, and 5 innings of work. He only had 1 strikeout. That ended up being a Marlins win, 6-4. You look at the fact that the Miami's been decent against left-handed pitching in the last month. The Marlins bullpen's been pretty solid in the last month. I'm going to take the Marlins here, plus the 1.5 runs, and on the money line. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Texas Rangers. We're going to see Simeon Woods Richardson and Andrew Heaney as the starters. Heaney's not been in the best form, but he's also been a lot better at Globe Life Field this year. And recently, 3 of his last 4 starts were on the road, and they just so happen to be the games that he struggled in. So I think now pitching at home against a Twins team that's not been great against left-handed pitching, it's a pretty good spot for Heaney to put together a bounce-back start. And Woods Richardson, after a strong start to the year, I know he pitched pretty well in that game against Cleveland, but it wasn't enough for a win. He's not been in the best form overall in the last 3 starts or so. The Twins are now 1-3 in his last 4 games. I think the Rangers can get to him for a few runs and should be enough for a win. Give me the Rangers in this game on the money line. Next up, the Chicago White Sox taking on the Houston Astros. Garrett Crochet and Spencer Arrighetti are the starters. Crochet's put together a fine season, but now recently he is struggling. He's given up 7 earned runs his last game against the Cubs. The White Sox are 0-4 in his last 4 starts, and most of those were run-line losses as well. He gave up 4 bombs in that last game. I got to go with the Astros and lay the 1.5 runs at Minute Maid. Arrighetti's been strong at Minute Maid Park this season. He's in good form. He's put together 25 strikeouts his last 2 starts against the Rays and Red Sox. I got to go with the Astros here, laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, the Cleveland Guardians and the Milwaukee Brewers. Aaron Savale and Gavin Williams are your starters. I think we see a low-scoring game in this one. Gavin Williams has pitched well on the road. Savale is somebody that's had issues with the home run ball, but the Guardians in the last month near the bottom of the league in isolated power against right-handed pitching. So I think Savale against his former team can put together a strong outing. Both very strong bullpens here. I like the under in Cleveland, Milwaukee. Next, with the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. No official starter for LA, but Miles Mikolas should be going for St. Louis. I got to go with the Dodgers here, lay the 1.5 runs. Mikolas has struggled recently. He's given up 4 earned runs or more in 3 of his last 5 games, including 9 earned runs his last 2 starts, 8 innings combined. Both of those were on the road, but I still think, even his season-long numbers, he's been better on the road. He's actually got a 6.38 ERA at Busch Stadium. So give me the Dodgers here, laying the 1.5. Next up, we'll see the Padres and the Rockies. Matt Waldron and Cal Quantrill are the starters at Coors Field. We've backed the Rockies at Coors plenty of times recently. Now they're only 5 games below 500 at home. They have a 44-78 record overall this season. Goes to show you they're a lot more competitive at Coors Field than away from Coors. But in this game, it's tough to back the Rockies with how well the Padres' offense has been. Matt Waldron put together a strong outing at Coors earlier in the season. Quantrill struggled against these Padres recently. I just think the Padres are too much, especially with that bullpen late in this game. it's a tough one, but I'm going to go with San Diego and lay the 1.5 runs on the run line. Next up, we see the Angels and the Braves, the final game for the Friday card in Major League Baseball. Schwellenbach and Soriano are the starters. I like the under. The Angels in the last month, 29th in baseball in team OPS against righties, near the bottom of the league, and isolated power to go with it. Schwellenbach's in great form. He's pitching deep into ball games. He's earning strikeouts. I think he pitches well, but I also think Soriano, he's also in good form. His last game, 6 innings, a 1-run ball with 7 strikeouts. Does a good job of keeping the ball on the ground. The Braves have one of the best bullpens in baseball. The Angels' bullpen's improved slightly. Give me the under and Braves-Angels to end the night. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those baseball picks in the comment section below. And again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.